Priyanka Chopra, Jonas, and horror king Jason Blum join hands for a new supernatural thriller which just started streaming on Amazon Prime. Evil Eye, starring Sarita Chaudhary, Sunita Mani, and Omar Muscati, is a chilling drama about revenge, reincarnation, and Indian mythology.
Well, first of all, I'm so fascinated by this dynamic. Twin brothers working on a film together. Let's start with that. How does your relationship work? Is there one that kind of takes the lead over one aspect of the production and one that kind of handles the other? Talk about the dynamic between the two of you.
Yeah, sure. It's interesting. We have the same taste, and so what we find is that when working on set, really we both do everything. But I think what we find is that we both have ideas, and usually what we do is if I have a take on a scene, he has to take on a scene. We kind of talk to each other, and often we'll disagree. But we'll find that by kind of pitching to each other, like, why do it this way, why do it that way, we kind of find ourselves going to the right spot. If there's a reason that we disagree, it's usually that there's either a story reason or a scene reason, or there's some reason that we're disagreeing that makes the scene better. And usually it's even a third idea that we come up with. What was funny though is that on our first day of shooting, we had to figure out who would say action. And that was kind of a funny moment where we tried doing it every take, but that did not work. It went disastrously. So we changed every scene, which worked much better.
I've met someone.
Padu, this is such good news. I've been praying for a good man for you. Can you give me his date of birth?
You're not checking our horoscopes.
Talk to your daughter.
Astrology is unscientific nonsense.
So guys, talk about Evil Eye. First of all, how did you come upon the story? I believe it was on Audible. And how did you adapt this for the screen? Talk about that process.
Yes, so it was an Audible original play by Madhuri Shekhar, and we were sent the play by Blumhouse, and Blumhouse basically, and we read it, and we just loved this idea of this mother who, sort of starts like this traditional story about the Indian mother, and we were just fascinated by using this idea of group reincarnation, and we were like, oh, this is really interesting. And so we went to pitch our take on this story to both Blumhouse and Amazon, and we sort of pitched the story that you see on screen, how to adapt this sort of audio play into the visual sense like movie that you see on screen.
So tell me about your last relationship.
She wasn't who I thought she was.
What does that mean?
She tried to kill herself.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean
It's
to.
okay.
Very mainstream horror genre, production house, and here they are working on this South Asian script with South Asian actors and a cast and a South Asian story. Very interesting for them to be involved.
They were absolutely wonderful. I think what's wonderful about this entire sequence of film, the entire Welcome to the Blumhouse sequence, is that they're all about giving diverse voices and diverse stories kind of a limelight. But I think what they've also found with a lot of their other films, like Get Out and like Invisible Man, that there's actually value in audiences are craving a different perspective on the familiar stories. And I think actually what's wonderful is they really love this idea of let's tap into the fears of a more diverse culture white audiences in America, I think, want to see, oh wow, a South Asian mythology, reincarnation, using these concepts to kind of expand out what is possible, because people just want something new and interesting and cool. And I really credit Blumhouse with knowing that's how much value there is in that.
Sandeep is making dinner tonight.
Oh, favorite.
Mirch ki sabzi. You planned it all, didn't you?
Of course he did. He wanted to make me feel welcome.
See, I knew if you just met him in person, everything would be fine.
In addition to Blumhouse, you also have a name like Priyanka Chopra attached to this project, which is tremendous. What was it that inspired her to come on board and produce this?
She, like Blumhouse, is sort of looking for quality stories, whether or not they are cultural or not really in any space. And I think that it was the quality of the writing, and I think that she saw the potential for the cinematic appeal of it is really what drew her to it. And she was extremely involved in the production in terms of, commenting on the wardrobe and commenting on story points. She's Priyanka Chopra Jonas. She has, I believe she was shooting Matrix at the time. So we were literally sending her, things to her there. But, she was wonderful. Really, her big priority was authenticity. She really wanted to make sure that an Indian audience would watch this and appreciate it just as much as any other audience. And really, while she is looking for stories of all types, she I think really is committed to also helping South Asian voices grow in America and around the world. And I really give her credit for kind of taking a chance to use her name and power to bring a story like this to Amazon and Blumhouse. And it's a wonderful collaboration. And I really give her a lot of credit for doing that. She wanted to make sure that the saris were correctly tied so that the Indian audience would go, oh, that sari is not like that. And she actually sent us, it's funny, she sent a photo of Nick Jonas's head turban from their wedding, so that in our wedding, our turban was correctly tied, which is a funny little anecdote.
Why can't you just be happy for me?
Balu, don't take it to heart. Your mother is in a very bad relationship.
How bad?
And the mother-daughter dynamic is spot on. You've got this amazing Sarita Chaudhary playing the mom, who we obviously know from Mississippi Masala and all her other films. Talk about the cast and the way everything kind of came together in terms of the acting.
Sure, yeah. We were very happy with our cast. They're absolutely wonderful. As you said, I think really, Sarita and Sunita, Omar and Bernard, they were our first choices for all those roles. And, Sarita, for example, like Elan said, the Indian matriarch character often in other films is a stereotype. It's sort of this overbearing mom who wants her daughter to get married. But I think what's wonderful about the film is that she turns out to have this kind of sexual violent past. And to casting Sarita Chaudhary, who has this amazing filmography, Misala, Perfect Murder, Kama Sutra, these films she has all of these layers and depth even in her past as an actress that then applies also to the film. And I think that was wonderful, bringing that context. Sunita, who was wonderful, what we loved about her especially was we knew that the film, which is so intense and so serious in its parts, needed that kind of comedic edge. And so her comedic background, I think, really contributed to making the drama scenes work even better.
Darling, can I just say, don't move in with him until you're married, okay?
Ma, come on.
I'm just asking this one thing. It's like I'm old-fashioned. Please.
I'll think about it. I have to set up for class.
Thank you. I love you very much.
I love you too.
Also the combination of genres. I mean, this is not a straight up horror film. You've got the drama, you've got the family, you've got the, the thriller aspect of all of this. Talk about this mixing of genres and how this is going to appeal to diverse audiences.
It starts where if you watch just the first sort of third, you wouldn't even know that it's necessarily a thriller.
Yeah, I didn't. Absolutely, yeah.
Exactly. And then as you go, you begin to get into the fact that something is wrong, that something is, and so even as the mom, as she changes, the audience then changes with her. That we also go through this, wait a minute, is something wrong? Is something getting deeper and darker? And I think that it's carrying the audience along that journey and moving from one genre to the other, but also with her as she moves from rom-com to obsession film, then finally into horror film, and that was a fun sort of move to make in sort of each of the stages.
I'm trying to save your life, Balu.
See, I knew if you just met him in person, everything would be fine.